I'm your host, Jen Pellegrino. Topping tonight's prime news, Chicago voters showed Lori Lightfoot the door, but the job isn't over yet. Democrat mayors across the country, alongside their Soros-funded district attorney sidekicks, they have aided and abetted this unprecedented crime wave in pursuit of their leftist dystopia. Chicago's Mayor Lori Lightfoot set the bar on Tuesday for Democrat mayors that needed to go. Voters had enough of the status quo. They were tired of being known as America's murder capital 11 years in a row. They were tired of the carjackings, tired of the violence, of losing business because of the rise in crime. In 2019, a campaigning Lori Lightfoot promised reform and transparency, and voters embraced the underdog as she won every ward in Chicago. Ultimately, Lightfoot failed to deliver. 2021 had the highest murder rate in the city in over a quarter century. 2022 only slightly improved. The crisis is so out of control that local outlets like the Chicago Sun-Times, they have a daily death tracker. So far in 2023, 84 people there have been murdered. What's worse is that the black people Lori Lightfoot claims to be protecting are disproportionately affected. Since 2019, nearly 3,000 people have been killed in Chicago. Nearly 80% were black. So much for equality, Lori. The fact Lightfoot has the audacity to reason that her loss is due to race and gender, it shows just how out of touch she is. Voters kicked Lightfoot out because she proved time and time again that her priorities were woefully out of order.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on.
Making TikToks as people are getting shot on her streets. And whether Paul Vallis or Brandon Johnson prevails in the April runoff, we'll be keeping a close eye on the next chapter in the Windy City. And hopefully this is the first domino to fall. America, take a good look at your elected leaders right now. It is time to build on this momentum. Democrat mayors are a threat to everyone's safety, and they're destroying America's finest cities. Take, for example, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell. She was the first black mayor in the city's history, but she turned out to be another diversity hire gone haywire, resulting in the city having the worst murders per capita in 2022. You may want to rethink going to Bourbon Street right now. And this reality played a major factor in only 31% of residents approving of the mayor's performance. 2023 hasn't been much better. Cantrell now facing a possible recall election amid the spike in crime and her failure to properly handle one of the simplest duties, collecting trash. I mean, if a city can't carry out its most basic duties, then folks, you have a woke mayor, as is the case with St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones. The city already has one of the highest murder rates in the nation. And to make matters worse, criminals are so emboldened that people are getting shot in broad daylight without a worry in the world about any witnesses or consequences. You see this footage right here, hard to watch. Innocent homeless people sitting on the sidewalk, losing their life. This is what happens when your mayor cuts police officers while doubling the number of officers on their own security team. Adding fuel to the fire, their DA in St. Louis, Kim Gardner, she refuses to do her job and put bad guys and gals behind bars. Hopefully the state legislature's effort to replace her succeeds and she follows in the footsteps of San Francisco's disgraced recall DA, Chesa Boudin. Now, the crime crisis in America plaguing even the Lone Star State. Case in point, Houston's Democrat Mayor Sylvester Turner. The Bayou City consistently ranked as one of America's most dangerous cities. And to make matters worse, it earned the title of America's dirtiest city. The report cites that this was due to its pollution, its crumbling infrastructure, and perhaps what's most embarrassing, a cockroach problem. The bottom line is that America's cities deserve better, and it's time we vote to take back our streets. Joining me now, tell us what you mean by that.
Well, Jen, thanks for having me on your show. I got to tell you, that was probably my transition period. I was raised a lifelong conservative Democrat. And then when I met the great Maxine Waters in California on the heels of Rodney King, that was my wake up. She talked to me like I had a tail. It was the worst experience. And as the president of a Black Police Association, I stopped the meeting, because I felt it wasn't productive, and it certainly wasn't about the business of healing and bringing the community together. That's what I've been about all my 44 years, is working close with communities, especially vulnerable communities. So when we talk about Lightfoot, the one thing I can say, Chicagoans are applauding. Their vote counts.
Right? They're all about criminal justice reform. That tells you everything you need to know. They want justice for criminals. But guess what? They're criminals. They don't deserve the justice that many of these victims' families deserve. And so they put criminals ahead of regular working class people like you and I. And I have to tell you, our state's attorney that we had, our DA here in Baltimore City, she lost her job in the midterm elections because people were tired of it. And they understood that Marilyn Mosby, because she was so soft on crime, that is why we had repeat violent offenders on our streets. And so, yes, hopefully this put a lot of progressives on notice. Again, I have nothing against Democrats. I think there are a lot of Democrats out there that are very moderate. I call them the JFK Democrats, and they want public safety and basic government functions just like everybody else. It is the progressives that have to go.